deal? What the deal? I want to touch on a few things for a minute. I was watching world news today, and anybody know, you know, the leader of Syria, Assad, he got low and got the hell up out of there. Um, they've been crucifying his people that he left behind, his relatives, his generals, everybody. He just got low and got the fuck up out of there. But I was having a conversation with one of my mans, so I wanted to touch on this thing. Like, I don't know if y'all know the history of the United States is a tyrant. Um, there has been over 30 tyrants in the United States history. Um, maybe more than that. It's probably more than that. But none of them has lived to talk about it. The United States is they're well aware of this. Anybody that knows our government is well aware of this. That if you go up against the United States, you will not live to talk about it. It's how it's been in history since the conception of this country. We defeated Britain. Um, we defeated the South. Um, we defeated. We've been fighting over in the Middle East forever. We defeated all them tyrants, and if we didn't, they're all on the United States most wanted list. Gaddafi, Saddam, um, Hitler, Castro. Well, he died of old age, but Castro, he couldn't leave Cuba because we had him. We tried to kill him multiple times. Um, no one has ever went up against the United States and lived to talk about it. The United States has been a tyrant since the beginning of time. They are the biggest gangsters in the world. Why do you think so many countries try to mimic us? China literally builds their military just to defeat us. Every time Russia goes live, the first thing out their mouth is the West. Um, it's just part of it. You know, anything in history when it comes to the United States. Everyone knows the United States is the biggest tyrants in the world. We go to people's countries and we destroy it. And then we help and build it back. We put people in place that align with what we want, align with our theories and our political game. And we put them in office over there in the countries. Arm the rebels. For instance, the Syria situation. I'm gonna give you an example. Okay, it's like if some rebels in the United States picked up arms and tried to fight our government, they won't win. Okay. Now you might have outside backers from other countries to try to help, but they won't win. The United States plays by a whole different set of rules. You know what I'm saying? We are the only country in the world that can't be prosecuted on an international stage, which means we can go to any country and commit war crimes and they can't be charged. You have other countries and other dictators that be charged from other countries, and some of them get hanged and be prosecuted. The United States does. That's one of the biggest pet peeves they don't like about us is the fact that we can't be charged internationally. They wanted Bush to sign the bill to say we would. He said never. I would never sign the bill so the United States can be charged in the international court. Never. He shot that down. We've assassinated our own president on our soil. Before we let somebody else do it, we'll do it ourselves. If you look at history, that's just what we do. That's what this government does. That's why across the seas, a lot of countries don't like the U.S. They feel that we're arrogant. We come to their country, we tear it down, destroy it, and leave. David smashed the mob. And they were a big organization. They had multiple families, and the United States went after them and did them in. Black Panther Party, the United States did them in. Dropped bombs on apartment buildings, killing thousands, hundreds. No one was never charged. We had the first black banks and black communities. Juneteenth did that. Flooded the whole city. Um, they had a city that was underwater down in Florida for years. They just found out. The United States flooded that. Um, the United States was the first government to actually import drugs in their own country and sell them, and then charge you with them, charge you for the crime if you get caught selling it. And they were selling it to us for communism, saying it was part of the war, and they used the money for communism, to fight communism. The U.S. is the biggest government, the biggest gangsters in the world. Believe that on any stage. That's the reason why Assad had to get out of there. Why? Because they had a 15-year civil war going on, but the United States was never involved. Once the U.S. got involved, he had to flee. He fled to our enemies, which is Russia. It's the reason why Putin can only travel so far, because he's on our hit list too. This country is tyrants. They've been tyrants. This country was took off with the United States. The United States took this country, but they take everything else. If you do not deal with the U.S., and you are a direct enemy of the U.S., you will be eliminated. President of Haiti, they wanted him to do a deal, come to the table. He told them, no, fuck y'all, I'm not doing it. What do? Some CIA operatives in there, knock him down. The whole country's in chaos, in ruins. And what happens? The United States is going to go over there, put somebody in place that aligns with their beliefs and what we want, and empower them. That's what the U.S. does. It's just part of how we move. It's part of how we made up. You know what I mean? And you should know this. The only thing the United States export is what? Weapons, bullets, and weapons. We get everything in, but the only thing we send out is ammunition and weapons. That's it. That's why, we let all these countries display their weapons and their bombs and their ships and all that. Now we don't. We don't disclose what we own. We don't disclose what we use. We don't disclose the things that we operate with. Because if it comes down to the point to where we have to come there, you will never know what the weapons that we have. Everybody thinks the United States only dropped one bomb on Japan. We actually dropped two. Two. Hiroshima was only one. Nagasaki was the other one. Okay? Wiped them completely out. Once they hit Pearl Harbor, did all that massive damage, United States, and then they was aligned with the Soviet, with Hitler and all that. The United States said, we ain't got time to be fighting them and them, so what we gonna do is we're gonna drop Japan to their knees, make them bow out. So we hit them with 2 nukes, shattered their whole country. They're just getting back to where they needed to be. And then we went over there to Germany and crushed them in less than 6 months. Now, Hitler had been crossing and destroying Europe for 2-3 years. You know what I mean? And the United States went over there in 6 months and demolished them. In 6 months. And we didn't even have the technology that we have today. That's why these drones is flying around. They were ours. They were ours. You know what I mean? And that was just a flux away the power to show them, look, we can fly these into your country, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. And that's how the United States operates. We will do whatever we want to do to you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. You know what I mean? When they come out and say we could fight a war on all four fronts at the same time, you got to be deadly. You know what I mean? And that's why the United States hasn't been invaded. Every country's been invaded. Every country on this globe has been invaded. Okay? The last war we fought on our soil was the Civil War. And you see how that turned out. General Lee did what? He surrendered. Okay? It's the reason why nobody invaded the United States. Now they send balloons and all that over here, and they send Mexicans, immigrants, and that's cool. But as far as deploy troops from another country to hit our soil and fight us here, it has not happened. And why is that? And the only reason why we haven't went over there and destroyed Russia and blow it off the map is because it's a lot of people that has neutral interest in Russia. Or the United States would have been went over there and just blew it off the map. We're not worried about their nuclear wars, the nuclear weapons. We're not worried about China's weapons. We're not worried about none of that. Because we got a weapon that'll destroy them all at the same time. Okay. One thing I learned, like you get all these Joe Rogan and all these other podcasts talking about, we're not ready for this, we're not ready for that. That's just to tell you that. And all those ex-Marines and CIA agents, that's what they want you to believe until we actually get in conflict. Okay, the only war that we was ever close in was Vietnam. That was it. And we won that too. But it just got to a point when it was useless. Alright? It was useless. So we just pulled out. The first Gulf War, when we was at Saddam. We won that. But what happened when the son got in office? We went back over there and what did they do to Saddam? They hung him. We fed him to his people and his people hung him. Okay? What did we do to Gaddafi? We killed him and half his children. Why? Because he didn't align in the beliefs that we want. Okay? Some of the videos I be seeing on here, I just be like, these people, they don't even understand. They just lying to the people for nothing. Don't let these people get on these podcasts, a lot of y'all, and make it seem that we're weak. We're far from it. We're far from it. Okay. For instance, Israel put a movie in to where they had all these phones booby trapped, right? And electrical devices blowing up in people's pockets and people in the supermarket, their phone blowing up on them, and it was causing massive injuries. And so, I ain't went nowhere pimping. And so, they took it from us. They took that tactic from us. Like, they took it from us. They took all that from us. They took it from us. So at the end of the day, and then you can go back and look at history of how they destroyed the mob and tactics they use now, and look at it. The United States has never lost. And why is that? Because we're going to go farther than what anybody else is going to go. And we can't be charged for the crimes that we do overseas. So if you can't be charged with something, you're going to go all the way out. You know what I mean? You're going to go all the way out. You're going to go to the extreme. You're going to go to the max. You're going to do whatever you got to do to win. And that's the U.S. And they don't care. They don't have to answer to nobody. They don't. And they don't. Hell, they used the Secret Service to knock down Kennedy in their own goddamn car. Did anybody get charged? No. They put on a whole nother motherfucker and then knocked him down before he can speak about it. So I'm like, man, but just watching like they went in dude crib. His house was nice. His house was nice. He had a lot of cars. I'd have been selling them cars right there out the damn garage. He had all type of Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Porsches. Assad had some money. They said he grabbed $2 billion and left and fled to Russia. Assad had some money. But what they do to his top general, who they said was feeding people the lines, hung him. People just walking past while this dude is just hanging from a light pole. But you know, CIA agents was on the ground, helping the rebels, funding the rebels. Where did they get the money from? To fight a war, you have to have money. So who was funding them? The U.S. Why you think the lady that's in office with Trump, they're grilling her? Why was you over there talking to Assad? Everybody knows you've been trying to kill him for the last 13 years. So what you was over there talking to him about? Yeah, man. What you got to do in life is you got to cut. See, they done impose social media into the world like it's law. Social media is nothing but a bunch of people with opinions. Hardly any of it is facts. Then people run to Wikipedia and all that. People write that too. Okay? Everything on the internet is programmed. It's programming. Okay? They just took it from the television and put it into your hands. Alright? None of it's law. And when they get people on this social media who tries and who is willing to speak the facts and the truth, they censor it. And that's what happens. Like the dude with the Tesla truck that blew up in front of the Trump Tower. A Tesla truck is running off of your DNA. Okay? That's how it's able to drive. And I'm not talking about the car. I'm talking about the new Cybertruck. And so I guess they tested the boy's people, whatever, the man's people, whatever, to try to ID the body that was in it. And it didn't match with his daughter. So he put a whole nother cadaver in there, blew the truck up to send a message. And then wrote that he wasn't even in there. And that he was trying to get to Mexico. You know what I mean? So that just go to show you the length that people will go to try to expose the truth, because everything is watered down, censored on social media. And you have a lot of people who think social media is law. And it's nothing but a bunch of people on here with opinions. What I'm telling you is not an opinion. It's an actual fact that researched before social media came that will back up my claims. Alright? When George Washington defeated the King George of Britain, he made a deal. He left, but when he went back to Britain, he empowered the South. So the South was basically doing his dirty work, his bidding, and what happened. Now, Lincoln was the 16th president. Washington was the first declared president. So you got 1 to 16 who was fighting the South. It didn't end until Lincoln. So what that tell you? What that tell you? For 16 years they had been bickering back and forth. Alright? The Civil War didn't really kick off until Lincoln. And then, he gave the emancipation to slaves and flipped the war, whatever. But his whole thing was put the slaves back on the boat and send them back where they come from. That's why he was murdered. He wasn't murdered from defeating the North. Defeating the South. He was murdered because he knew that the slaves here would never have equal rights in this country. So If they are immigrants and you brought them here, put them on a boat and send them back. And that's what sealed this fate. Because the United States is a tyrant. They have been the biggest tyrant in history. And there is no dictator who's ever went up against the United States to live and talk about it. Find me one. The only one still running around here kicking is Putin. The Chinese president, well, they don't hate that. The president's the quality the president is. It'll come to me in a minute. But he's basically the president. And him, Kim Jong-un, him, them three. They don't even leave outside their country because they know they're wanted. And they know how far the United States will go. So they have to travel within their region because they're wanted. Putin knows he can't leave that far from Russia. You know what I mean? He knows that because he's wanted. He knows the U.S. want him dead. They don't even want him alive. They want him dead. And he knows it. NATO wants him dead. They want him dead. And since he just put them Korean troops on the ground over there, they really want him dead. And trust me, it will happen. It will happen. But yeah, you can go back and look at any and every tyrant who ever went up against the United States of America. None of them have lived to talk about it. None of them. They all ended badly. Very. Hell, we just indicted the president of Venezuela. He said, well, fuck it. I'm going to let all the horses and the roughest prisoners out of our prison, and I'm going to send them to the United States, and I'm going to actually give them a ride to get over there. But he can't leave it. He can't leave Venezuela because they want him dead. It's a reason that every other country in this world has been invaded at least once, except for the U.S. China's been invaded. Russia's been invaded. Germany's been invaded. Who else? Australia's been invaded. Who else? Asia's been invaded. I'm naming the continents. It's been invaded. North America has never been invaded. The United States has never been invaded by a foreign power. It's not happening. The closest thing to it was during World War I and the Civil War. That's it. And they all lost. It's not happening. They say they got their submarines out in the Pacific. Well, why won't they come touch our soil then? Why won't they rush our soil? Why won't they invade us? Why? Ask yourself that. It's politics, man. It's politics. But they're going to lead you to believe, oh, we're vulnerable. Man, we will shut the stock market down so fast. That's why it's not just... Everybody thinks it's just one stock market. No, every continent has a stock market. Russia has a stock market. Japan has... Asia has a stock market. Europe has a stock market. South America has a stock market. And North America does. They all do. They all have a stock market. And they all trade. You know what I mean? That's just like the BRICS situation. These countries just trying to get together and form to buy oil because why? The only time you can't buy a bottle of oil on the international stage unless you use what? U.S. currency. So they coming up with a currency called BRICS to be able to buy and trade on the international stage. And they're having a damn hard time doing it. It's just what it is. When they went and captured Saddam and took it over, they took his money too. Took his money. Held him in a court, let the people hang him too. Gaddafi, what they do to him? Shot all his Hummers up, shot his RVs up, killed his kids. What they do to him? Strung out in the middle of the street, shot dead. The Haiti's president, what they do? Run up in his crib, shoot him, kill him, lead the country over to who? The rebels and the gangs. Now what they do? Just went over there with the help of the United States. Now they're killing all the gang leaders over there. Why? Because it's time. The chaos done happened. It ran through. Boom, boom, boom. Now what? They're going to put the person in there with their interests, run the country. That's what the U.S. does. You can watch any of them spy movies. They've been trying to tell y'all for years. The U.S. ain't nothing to fuck with. That's why they got a 99% conviction rate here. Ain't nothing to fuck with. I mean, when you see rappers like Lil Durk and P. Diddy and all these dudes, and you wondering like, damn, they're not beating that. It's not happening. Because every dollar that you think you spend, the United States prints that dollar. Every dollar you think you spend, the United States is matching that dollar. That's one of the reasons why Kennedy was knocked down, because he wanted to impose a whole new currency besides the dollar, right? He wanted to impose a currency that was basically grown from our ground, which is metal, copper, and silver. I mean, gold, copper, and silver. And they told him, hell no. The U.S. Reserve said, well, you ain't doing that. He said, well, I'm going to write it in office anyway, and it's going to be executive order. And what they do? Killed him on national TV before he could write it in office. Then what they do? Signed off on the executive order Bush did. So what they do? They killed, terminated the $1 piece. That's why they're no longer factoring and manufacturing $1 pieces no more, which is his face on it. And every other president that's on a bill had to get voted on it. He is the only one that's on the bill on a piece of currency and wasn't voted on. It was Kennedy. And they killed him. Just a heads up. But I tell people, man, forget our news. Watch the world news. That's what really be going on. You see all these other countries all up in war and all that, and the United States had their hand in all of it. That's what we were built on. That's what we run our country off of. It's war. And ever since we've really been out of war, the economy has been down. That's why they're so eager to jump in war so fast. Because it's going to boost our economy. It makes more jobs. Because we have to produce the metals for the equipment just used to fight in the war. That's why they said our country was at the highest when we was at war. World War I, economy was hell, was great. World War II, economy was great. Gulf War, economy was great. When they ran from 2000 to Denver, 2017, 2018, when they ran the planes into the building, 9/11, economy was great. Now, we're not really in war anymore. Look at the economy. It's inflation, it's all this and all that. It's a recession. Why? Because we're not actively in the war. So, that's just what it is. Like, follow, subscribe, and I'm out.